with you.
Hey, what's up, man?
How are you today?
Pretty good, man. Sorry, we had a little bit of a fumble here in the studio.
Well, it's the beginning of the year, so you got a little bit of time to get your act together.
I blame it all on Cole.
There you go. When in doubt, blame the producer.
Right, exactly. So what's going on, man? It's a little bit of a snowy weekend. I guess a lot of stuff's getting canceled, right?
I haven't checked yet, but I would venture to say that most schools will yield to caution and push some things back or cancel some things today because it is snowing now, at least up our way. So,
what are you getting up that way? Any accumulation yet?
It's sticking to the street at this point. So when it starts sticking to the streets, it's going to be a little something. So we'll see what happens.
So tell us what's going on up in the Courier-Post area. I know Cherry Hill East kind of on a hot streak here.
Yeah, East has been playing pretty well. They started out 2-2, and they've won, I believe, now 5 straight. Knocked off an undefeated Lenape team the other day by, I think it was pretty close. If it wasn't 20 points, it was right around 20 points. So, they're a team that has Dave Allen's done a real nice job with them. He's finally got a team that's starting 5 seniors, and it's been a little while since an East team has had that. And these five kids that are really the core of the team, excuse me, have really started to understand their roles, and they've been playing together for a while now, growing up and everything. But they now that they're at the varsity level all together, understanding what their responsibilities are and really kind of meshing themselves together, they put together a nice little run. So East is a team that year in and year out, you really have to, they on paper they may not look like they have, one of the better teams around here and there, but every time you play East, you're going to be, you're going to be challenged, and you have to come ready to play.
Kevin, who do you have your eye on now that the conference schedules have really got into full swing here in the first week of January? This is the time of year where you start to figure out who you are. You might have had 4, 5, 6 games in December to kind of get your lineup set, but now's really the time where you need to start playing well. Who do you have your eye on at this point as maybe a team that we should be looking at as a team that can go on a run here in January?
In looking at some early season games, like you said, most teams now have gotten at least, I'd say probably at least 4 games in. A lot more than 4. Some have played almost, I guess, maybe 8 games already. And at this point, there's starting to be, you can kind of get a sense of a little bit of what's going on. And, I think there's clearly St. Augustine is clearly separated itself from the pack as being probably the best team in South Jersey. And then I think you look at the second tier, you got Camden, Atlantic City, and I'd even throw Shawnee right now into the mix. There's 3 more teams playing very well, off to some pretty good starts. And then after that, I haven't really seen a lot of separation. So, I think that when you look at the elite, you're clearly looking at St. Augustine. Like I said, Camden, AC, Shawnee are kind of close, not quite there, but they're kind of close. And then you pretty much have, from there down, and work your way around. But it's going to be interesting. Camden and St. Augustine are going to play, and it won't be until February, but they'll play at, I believe, at the Cherry Hill East Invitational on a Saturday, which will be probably the marquee game of that tournament at that point. So both of those teams are playing pretty well. I know Camden right now is playing extremely well. They're scoring in the 80s and 90s. They're getting balance across the board, generally putting at least 5 guys into double figures. So, their schedule obviously is going to get a lot tougher than it was, prior to the holidays. But they're a team that's experienced. They still have a handful of juniors, even some sophomores that are playing. But these kids have played since they were freshmen. So, an experienced team right there that's really playing well. And then you look at Shawnee. Shawnee's undefeated right now too. They took their lumps in the past couple of years. They got a little bit, this group took their lumps 2 years ago and got a little bit better last year and got to the point now where, okay, things are back to where they should be for Shawnee basketball. So Shawnee is definitely another team I think to keep an eye on.
Do you know who's involved with that Cherry Hill East Invitational? Have you looked at the schedule for that yet?
Yeah, Dave Allen does a nice job of putting that thing together. That schedule is together. I don't have it right in front of me, but 2 days, I believe it's February 11th and 12th. It'll actually compete against an invitational at Paul VI the same weekend. So a lot of good basketball, that weekend. Cherry Hill East and Paul VI, not that far apart. People, can get to both sites. But traditionally, the invitational at East has kind of been the highlight of the February, in-season weekend tournament scene. So a lot of good matchups there, year in and year out, and always, for a good cause.
Talking with Kevin Minnick of the Courier-Post. Kevin, a couple topics I wanted to touch on real quick. One was the proposal to change the transfer rule. I know they've been kind of battling out with this for a couple of years, trying to figure out the right way to go about it, and now they've proposed just a across the board, hey, you transfer, you sit 30 days, no matter what school, what your situation, whether you're a freshman, JV, varsity. What are your thoughts on that?
Without having talked to a lot of people about it and just reading, the information that we have provided, I'm not a big fan. Obviously, the transfer situation has got to be the number one priority with the NJSIAA, and it's been an issue for years. And they've had policies, they've had things that they want to try in the past. Some things work, some things don't. But to put a blanket over everything and more or less just say, well, this is how we're going to handle it now. If you transfer, you're sitting. And there's different nuances within that could make it to the point where not only will you sit 30 days, but you could potentially be ineligible for the playoffs. So I really have a problem with it in that throwing a blanket over the whole thing and just it's kind of like my thing is now they want to throw this Band-Aid, this blanket over top of it and make it go away. And it's a sad case. You're going to have cases where, families are transferred from different states and they settle in South Jersey. Or mom or dad lose their job or they're transferred and they have to move from, say, for the sake of argument, mom works at a casino in Atlantic City. She gets transferred. Say she goes to Harris, Atlantic City to Harris, Philadelphia, doesn't want to make that long commute. So okay, well we're gonna move, we're gonna shift gears, and we're gonna live in an apartment a lot closer to my new job. Well, this is not the kid's done nothing wrong.
Right.
The family has, for economic reasons, for their job, the family has to move. But you're saying, well, sorry, you're going to sit 30 days. So, and you're sitting and you're going to sit kids 30 days who just may be moving into a new area. So, I understand that they want to clamp down on all of the transfers and really the transfers for athletic advantage that are out there and that have been going on for years. But to just put a blanket over the whole thing and just say you transfer, you sit, it's not fair. It clearly is not fair, and it's another case of just wanting to solve the problem and move on. They'll tell you that they don't have the resources to investigate transfer situations. They don't have the people to look into every case. Well, if this is your biggest problem, if transfers is the NJSIAA's biggest issue, well, you know what? Maybe it's time that we start to reallocate funds or we find a way to make it our priority to handle it and handle it the right way. If it needs to be handled on a one-on-one situation, then so be it. They get approximately 1,500 transfers a year. Somebody, a group, maybe you have to organize another committee of some sort. But let's take care of this situation and let's handle it the way it needs to be handled on a one-on-one basis and stop telling people we don't have the resource or we don't have the time to put into this. If the fire's burning in your house, what are you going to do? It's your number one priority. Put it out. So the state really needs to take a serious look at figuring out how they're going to solve this problem without, like I said, without putting the kid who legitimately transferred, he should not have to sit. So, that's just my take on it. I have a very definitive opinion on a lot of things that's going on in the state, especially with the transfer situation. And I think, you got to handle it one-on-one. Every situation is unique, and it should be handled as so.
Yeah, I kind of got the same feeling, Kevin, like, hey, we've tried this in the past. It didn't work, so, this will solve everything. And I don't know if that's the case.
No, I really don't think it is the case, Sully, because, like I said, a legitimate transfer for a job. What if a family moves from Arkansas and they settle in South Jersey because Dad got a job in Philadelphia somewhere? They decide to settle in South Jersey, and my son's a 6'5", 300-pound offensive lineman, and he's pretty good. Did they move to South Jersey so he could play football at St. Augustine or Oakcrest or Shawnee or whatever school? No. So don't penalize that kid because his family happened to have to move. To me, that's a ridiculous situation.
Kevin, real quick before we let you go, is the Timber Creek football situation now settled? I saw something that said the NJSIAA wasn't going to pursue anything more against them in terms of having illegal transfers. Yeah,
all indications are that they came out with their statement yesterday, said that through their investigation, through the investigation that the school district did on its own, that they're satisfied that they found no violation of ineligible players being used or players being recruited. So as far as my understanding is, the NJSIAA has now closed the book on this entire Timber Creek situation, that they've found that Timber Creek, in essence, they have found Timber Creek has done no wrong. I'm not completely sold on that. Evidence that I've seen, at least my understanding of that evidence and applying it towards the NJSIAA Constitution, tells me otherwise. But, they've decided that it's a done deal. So, you look at it that way, it's done. And Timber Creek will face no penalty. And, the two organizations, the school district and the state, will work together towards making sure some things are done to help that a situation like this doesn't come up again. But, as far as the state's concerned, at this point, I think it's a done deal.
Good stuff, Kevin. Up against the break. Got to let you go, but thanks for the insight, and we'll catch up with you next week.
Hey, no problem. Like I said, every Saturday you can lock me in.
You got it, man. You're locked in.
All right, sounds good. You have a good day.
All right, thanks, man. Enjoy the weekend.
You too. Bye-bye.
That was Kevin Minnick of the Courier-Post.